Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to Further Beyond Gaming. My name is Cody GT, and in today's video we're actually kicking off a brand new series called A Beginner's Guide to Honkai. I'm actually excited to be kicking off this series. It's one that I had in mind for quite some time now, and I mentioned in my last video speaking about affixes if you wanted me to go more into detail about them, and a few of you commented back saying you would like to see that video. So I thought, what would be a better time to kick off a beginner guide series than talking about the affixes for your stigmatas. Now, I do want to quickly preface the video before we jump into it by stating this is obviously a video for beginners, as we're having new players join the game of Honkai each and every day. So if you're a veteran of the game, this obviously doesn't apply to you, but I do encourage you to go in the comments down below and comment to help out these beginner players, as I'm probably going to overlook some information, or you might know some more information than I do because I am not an expert of the game. I've just been playing it for quite some time, so I have a little insight and thought I would try and help out the beginner players when it comes to certain things or aspects of the game, because when you first join Honkai, especially at this time, it can be a bit overwhelming and there's a lot to try and digest. And so I wanted to provide this video to try and help out to the best of my ability. So if you do enjoy today's video, go ahead and drop a like. It's greatly appreciated. It helps out the channel tremendously. And if you're new to the channel, you enjoy this new series and this content, go ahead and consider subscribing. And I will be making a playlist for this series, so you can go ahead and binge watch them all once I do have them up, and it'll be just under Beginner's Guide to Honkai. That's just how the playlist will be named. But anyways, let's go ahead and jump straight into it. So like I mentioned, this video is all about affixes for your stigmata, something that I feel is overlooked when it comes to your Valkyrie and being able to increase their power, something that people just don't know about, or something that they just overlook and don't really spend time or resources to invest into, which I think is important for you to go ahead and do. And I admittedly, if I can English, do that myself. So I thought this would be a great way to kick off this series. So what are we talking about when it comes to affixes for your stigmatas? So you have your stigmatas for your Valkyries, you have applicable ones, and if you want me to do a video on stigmatas going more into detail about them, I will. But if you click on a stigmata, you do have certain affixes. Now, a lot of stigmatas will come with one affix already, but there are some that do not come with any, so you do have to spend some resource to go ahead and apply those affixes to your stigmatas in the form of these normal crystal cores. But you also have other resources and material that you can use as well. So if we take a look, we also have the wafer data flow, and we also have the reroll device attack. And there is one more resource that I'm missing here. Let me just double check really quickly to make sure that we do have the proper resources here. So let me just go ahead and click on Kiana. Let me go ahead and go here. There we go. That's the one, the crystal flash tank. So these resources are what you're going to use to not only get your affixes, but to also re-roll for them as well. So for this stigmata, or stigma I should say in particular, you can see it does have one affix on there already, the kata calibration. Now if you want to go ahead and apply a second affix to this stigma, you're going to use one of these crystal flash tanks to get a new wafer slot through this re-roll. What that's going to do is give you a new affix, and then you can decide whether or not you want to apply those two or keep the one that you have already. And I'll go ahead and just show you for content purposes what I mean. So you're going to hit this reroll button right here, use that flash tank. This was a waste of a resource, by the way. But now, as you can see, we have the old affix on the left hand side with a score of 253, and then we have the new affix skill where you have both the same one that was on the old stigma or the old affix skill, the kata calibration, but you also have the heat resist now as a second affix with a higher score of 472. So at this time you can decide whether you want to keep the old one or apply the new one, or you can decide later on that one, which is a nice feature. So I'm going to go ahead and apply the new one, and now as you can see on the stigma, you have two affixes that are going to help power up your Valkyrie even more, give you some resistance to fire damage, and as you can see, that percentage can go much higher, but you're going to have to spend a lot of resources to try and re-roll a high stat. So keep that in mind. It's going to take a lot of normal crystal cores, because re-rolling a higher stat is not easy, and it takes a lot of RNG. So we're just going to re-roll. As you can see at the bottom, it does take 10 of those normal crystal cores to go ahead and re-roll the stat. Or you can go to the wafer data flow, which will guarantee to enhance one wafer affix during the affix re-roll. So keep that in mind. You will guarantee yourself a higher one, but those wafer data flows are harder to come by, so you want to spend them wisely and make sure you're spending them on the correct stigma that you want to go ahead and invest in. So let's go ahead and do a re-roll just so you can get an idea of what we're looking at. So we'll re-roll here, and as you can see, we got a much higher score of 873 compared to the 472, and that's because we got the shield affix, which deals extra 13.9 damage to shields, which is very nice. And then that crit we got at 12.4. So you would definitely want to apply this new affix, and so you can go ahead and apply it, and now you got a higher stat on that specific stigma, which will then lead to higher stats towards your Valkyrie in particular in general. So if we go over to my Bright Knight, I do have the full Dante set, and I did go ahead and do the affixes. Now this one I can actually get probably a better reroll on this one, because the resist to fire damage is decent, but it's not great at all. You definitely want to go for more attack on your DPS Valkyries, in this case Bright Knight Durandal, but that deals extra 25 damage to shields is actually a really high reroll for me, and I really like that one. So what I want to go ahead and do at this time is go for the wafer data flow and see if I can get a higher reroll towards one of those affixes. Hopefully towards that fire damage resist, because that one I really don't need. So let's go ahead and do this one just for content purposes, and there you go. So it enhances the resist of the fire damage, and so it gives me a score of 1000, and that's how you can actually go ahead and get a higher reroll. And then if we go ahead and reroll just here, and as you can see, it takes 40 normal crystals for this one, this stigma, so you have to keep that in mind. The more the higher ranked stigmas are going to cost more normal crystals than the lower ones. And then as you can see, we have a lower score here, 982 to 1000. We do have recover 37 SP when enemies are nearby, which is it's okay. And then we have the dual pistols, and lance wielders gain 22.6 attack. That's actually really good. But for me in particular, I would want to keep the deals extra damage to shields. I think that's a really good one. But this one, the new affix skill, would be good as a dual purpose, so you can put it on a Kiana, for example, because it will help out the dual pistols, or Callan as well. So you would have to decide on what you would want to go ahead and keep. I'm just going to keep the old one because I like it for right now. I'm probably going to re-roll it some more to try and get better affixes on there. But for right now, I like that one. As you can see, for this one, I did roll this one as well. And you can see I deal extra 21.2 damage to shields and gain 15.9 attack. So you can see the kind of theme I was going for when it comes to the Dante set for my Bright Knight. I was going for that damage towards shields. It just so happens I was getting that affix, and this one is just providing me more HP. I could probably actually re-roll this one and see if I can get something better. The HP is good, but it's not necessarily needed when it comes to your Dante or for your Bright Knight Durandal. And as you can see, I didn't get a good one here. So I'm going to keep the old one, but I'm actually going to re-roll again. Let me see if I can get something better here. But as you can see, there we go. So Mecha type characters gain 14.8 attack, which would be good. But the HP towards the old affix is just much better in my opinion. So I would keep this one and re-roll again. But you would do this just on a constant basis. You have to just spend some time and spend some resources in re-rolling and getting the proper stats for your Valkyries and your Stigmatas, so that way your Valkyries can be as powerful as they possibly can be. And I think this is a part of Honkai that I think a lot of people just overlook or do not invest enough time or resources into. It is a bit tedious, and it does take a while to get the perfect stats that you're looking for, but if you do spend that time, if you do go ahead and re-roll properly and get the right fixes towards your Stigmatas, then you're really going to power up your Valkyries to be even stronger than they normally are. As you can see, the CP for my Bright Knight is at 2,961. If I didn't have the proper affixes on there or didn't take the time to do it, her CP would be lower than that. So you have to keep that in mind when it comes to the Valkyries, and really just invest in the Valkyries that you use quite often, or the ones that you find to be the most valuable. For example, my Bright Knight, I invested that into my Valkyrie Gloria, my Stingent Nymph, and you know, Valkyries like that, my Vermilion Knight, my Saint Bridget Bronya. These are all Valkyries that I use, you know, more often than not, that I feel are very powerful, and so I invested the time to put the rerolls into those affixes and make sure that, you know, they're as best as they can be. They obviously always can be better. You just have to keep re-rolling and trying to get better stats on them. And if you have the resources, just keep trying to do that, and make sure you're getting the best stats possible, you know. And then if you have those other wafer affixes, you can go ahead and take the time to go ahead and see if you can get one of those affixes to be higher. For example, here I have the Great Sword and Gauntlet wielders gain 19.8 attack, dual pistols and lance wielders gain 20.5 attack. So this one I can actually try and re-roll. I think I kept it because of the Great Sword part of it, but I can, and the score was pretty high, but I can go ahead and re-roll this one as well. As you can see, even myself, I can spend some more time in trying to re-roll and get these better stats, and seeing if I can get a higher affix, or one that's more tailor-made for my Vermilion Knight. So that's something you just have to, like I mentioned, once again, take the time to go ahead and do, and see if you can get that perfect stat that you're looking for. But when it comes to affixes, guys, that's just about everything that I do have for you when it comes to the resources, the materials, looking into it, knowing what to keep and what to re-roll for again. And I hope this was helpful. I hope this gave you a little more insight on your stigmatas and powering up your Valkyries. This is just the first part in the beginner's guide to Honkai series. If you want me to go more into detail about stigmatas or stigmas in general, I will definitely come out with that video as well. Just let me know in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed today's video, you got something from it, go ahead and drop a like. It lets me know that you guys want to see more and that you did get something from it. So with that being said, I am gonna get out of here. Remember to stand out, be different, have fun, go further beyond in everything that you do. And until next time, my boys, until next time, it's your homie Cody GT, and I'm out.